So you mean for tell me, sir, West Indies pick them side for the tour of Pakistan, and there's no Chris Gayle?
That's not right. This is Chris Gayle, the universe boss.
Welcome, Sports Nation, to Sports DTM, the sports channel where we call sports down the middle. You can expect the latest in sports news, views, and reviews from our resident analysts. No sports topic is too controversial, and no team or player is above criticism. So just smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell to make sure you don't miss out on our balanced offering of riveting sports content. And don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Welcome to Sports DTM.
Greetings, Sports DTM fans, and welcome to another episode of Sports Down the Middle, your channel of undiluted sports content. Your analysts are here, Raymond and Adrian. I'm Kurt, and the West Indies Cricket Board, guys, or the West Indies Cricket West Indies is open to the thought, right, of considering giving Gayle a farewell game at home to, I don't know who is the opposition yet. This might be sometime in January. Adrian, Chris Gayle said that he hasn't announced any retirement, but if him get a game at home, him will come and tell him, fans, thanks. How the two pieces of the puzzle go together. I have not retired, but the Cricket West Indies is considering a farewell game. And of course, Chris Gayle, universe boss, age 42, and we'll get into some of his stats later, but how the two puzzles come together.
Well, Kurt, Chris Gayle, the self-styled universe boss, probably the greatest T20 batsman ever. Has done really, really well throughout his career. And I'm sure you're going a little bit of the stats, but he's known as an explosive opening batsman, feared around the world on various platforms, whether it is in the Caribbean or in the IPL or in all of the other T20 leagues around the world. He's known as a heavy hitter, not just a T20, but across Test, across the one-day international, and probably one of the athletes with the longest tenure in terms of longevity. But Chris Gayle, like all athletes, father time catches up on them. And we saw him having a torrid time in the T20 World Cup. But as we think about it, we recognize that the World Cup and the ICC was ushering Chris Gayle out, right? They were saying perhaps this is his last World Cup. Perhaps he's going to retire. The players were giving him lots of cheers. The commentators were saying it's time to go. But Chris Gayle, the universe boss, is having none of it, right? And so even Cricket West Indies is open to a farewell match. But Chris Gayle says, I'm not done yet. I haven't retired yet. I want to play in the next T20 World Cup. And so we don't know how it's going to reconcile. Gayle continues to play. And even though ICC, the West Indies, the commentators are trying to usher him out, he just hopes that he can continue batting, making runs, and force them to pick him one more time in 2022 at the World Cup.
Raymond, 2022 World Cup. But the Cricket West Indies has a very poor track record in farewell matches for legends of the game. And one such example could be Shandapal. He went quietly off somewhere. This time around, they're open to Chris Gayle getting a farewell game at Sabina Park. You think that's a good idea? And the next question is, will Minister Grange and the authorities allow it?
Boy. All right, so of course it's a good idea. I mean, you have to understand a farewell to such a batsman like Chris Gayle, the self-proclaimed universe boss. You can just imagine all the flair, pump and pageantry, just a lot of excitement on that day. And as such, you can just imagine also ticket sales and stuff like that. You're right. The authorities would always want to have some say over crowd control and stuff like that, and how full the stadium would be on that day, and that might just limit the amount of persons that we're able to see Chris Gayle final match. That's what we're labeling it as, but maybe to Chris Gayle it's not. But to play in front of home crowd is should be excitement. The only thing should might just spoil that parade in terms of how much person would be in the stadium is the authorities. But that would be good for the sport, good for him, good for the country. He has a lot of fans in Jamaica, and it just makes sense to have that here in Jamaica at Savannah Park.
And talking about the legend that he is, at age 42, he has been playing for 22 years. And that's a whole lifetime for some people. 22 years at the highest level, playing 103 test matches, 7,214 runs, highest score, the triple three, average 42.18. And looking at test cricket now, 42.18 back then when cricket was cricket in the West Indies, that was a very low average. But now, based on the players that we have, Adrian, and looking at Chris Gayle, test record, 15 centuries, 37 50s.
Yeah.
One of the greatest to have played.
One of the greatest to have played the game, and probably the most balanced across all formats of the game, whether it's Test cricket, One Day International, T20 cricket. He has been explosive. You talk about him from his earlier days, really being a destructive batsman. There are some who would say that he didn't have the best technique, but what's technique when you're able to have that good hand-eye coordination and you're able to hit sixes for fun? What's technique when you're able to actually have bowlers bowl out of their natural rhythm, and even when they are not in their natural rhythm, you are able to actually play off the back foot and hit a six, right? That's the type of power and fear that Chris Gayle had right around the world, and he was a big entertainer in doing it, and the crowd loved him for it. Obviously, time has caught up with him, and as such, it's difficult to watch him at this stage. Doesn't look like his normal self, but I'm sure people averaging 15 and 20 runs in Test cricket, you never know. We may have to call back for Chris Gayle to gradually build his way out from this. And seems that there's a big opening position as well in the West Indies cricket team.
There's position everywhere in the West Indies cricket team, but Gayle has not been playing as a opener in the last set of games.
Just saying.
Raymond, when Gayle started out, he had a heart problem, right? And a lot of persons never expected Gayle to have such a career. And as Adrian mentioned earlier, what is technique when you can hit the ball so far and so hard? And if we're to look at his ODI record, and this is where he stands tall in the West Indies. He's the leading run scorer in One Day International, and he pretty much changed the game in terms of batting. He played 301 ODIs, 10,425 runs, average 38, 2,500. He has the most centuries in ODI for West Indies batsmen, 53 50s. And when you think of the legends of the game, the Brian Lara, the Viv Richards, the Desmonians, just to name a few, and to know that Chris Gayle is on top of the list for runs scored as well as centuries. This is where Chris Gayle comes to life, the shorter format of the game.
Yeah, so when you talk about perseverance, finding out that you had a heart condition, problem, sorry, and was able to push through that, and ended up being where he's at now, the top of the pile in a sense. I remember persons were saying that he has zero footwork, he's plays ugly, not so
Him do a
fluent,
run.
right, and don't look as fluent like a
He
Brian
doesn't
Lara,
run.
the Viv Richardson, all those batsmen with, with proper excellent footwork. But Chris Gayle proved them wrong, and he was able to slug his way and bat and beat every bowler. Finally some batsman again once, but you had Brian Lara at some point had drove fair into some of the bowlers. Chris Gayle did that for West Indies when it was his turn, and pretty much just blast away most of the competition. And as much as person says it's not poetry, there's some poetry in brute force for me to see somebody in a care how hard and where you put the ball. There's a possibility of a six. Let me say it again. Wherever you put the ball, you could bowl full shot, whatever. There's a possibility that Chris Gayle will take you to six.
And then Adrian, the entertainer that he is, here comes T20 cricket. Luckily in Chris Gayle cricketing career or the extended cricket career, 22 years, he has played 79 T20 matches for the West Indies, 1,899 runs. One of two West Indians to have scored a century in T20 cricket international, the other player being Evan Lewis, but 14 half centuries. And in T20 cricket, any score over 30 is considered good, considering how T20 is fast-paced and everybody a lick ball hard. But Gayle, universe boss, and this is just international cricket. All around the world, he has dominated T20 cricket, the most destructive T20 batsman opener of our generation of any cricket. Everywhere him go, him on top of the list in terms of either the number of six, the number of century, or the most runs scored. He has just dominated this format. The money maker, this is for Chris Gayle. The universe boss, T20, him same change the game, and he also mentioned something about you taking away the entertainment from cricket. Why are you taking away the entertainment from cricket?
Yeah, well, Kurt, the truth is that yes, Chris Gayle was the game changer for T20 cricket. T20 cricket came on the scene, and as it came on, people were from the traditional cricketing game, the people who enjoy the Test cricket, the one-day international, figured to themselves that T20 was there to quote unquote mash up cricket, not just in the West Indies but in the world. But Chris Gayle showed a lot of entertainment and he showed a lot of explosiveness. This is what the people wanted. Shorter format of cricket games that wouldn't take 4 and 5 days. Granted that the West Indies were finishing matches in 3 days, but they were looking for a shorter 4-hour match filled with excitement, full of entertainment. And so Chris Gayle said, look, they're spoiling the T20 cricket because people want to be entertained. So he wasn't the player who was content with scoring singles. First of all, he wasn't the type of player to run up and down the crease for 1 or 2 runs. As a matter of fact, I can't think of much time when a Chris Gayle would have run at 3 runs because he's just not that type of player. It's either a quick single that he's taking, well, not really quick, or a boundary, whether a 4 or a 6. And he has rightly criticized the openers who have now gone to this slow pace, pushing the ball around, think they're playing Test cricket, probably taking a jab at some of his fellow teammates. But hey, that's Chris Gayle. But everybody seems to love Chris Gayle wherever he goes, whether it's Australia, Pakistan, India, right across the Caribbean. He has a certain vibe to him, right? And he backs it up by his performance on the field. Sadly, he's at the tail end of his career, and you want to remember him for all the power hitting that he brought and the excitement that he brought to the game. The man we hear, Chris Gayle, Christopher Henry Gayle, the universe boss.
And talking about him being at the tail end of his career, Raymond, when we look at West Indies cricket on a whole, and you think of Test cricket, you normally think of the Viv Richards and the Desmond Haynes and the Brian Lara of that era. then when you think of T20 in particular, the Christopher Gayle and the Bravos, they have won 2 T20 World Cup. So they have definitely left a legacy, especially for T20 cricket. And we've heard Chris Gayle say that he wants to play in another World Cup, right? But the West Indies cricket pick a team to tour Pakistan for ODIs and T20, and Chris Gayle not in it.
Yeah, so it's clear that the two of them not seeing from the same hymn book at all. He not being picked there is surprising, and it seems like it's almost a usher him out kind of scenario. However, I almost think it's too early to say. Not for the Pakistan game, but it's too early to say if he won't get a chance to play his farewell game in Jamaica and such. And so maybe they're actually just saving him for that round of games and not so much the Pakistan one.
Adrian, we always try to say don't save somebody for a game that you're not sure if it will happen. So why wasn't Gayle part of the ODI squad to tour Pakistan, considering that the possibility might exist that he may play his last game anytime now?
Well, Kurt, we know it's not for personal reasons that Chris Gayle is not selected in this tour. As a matter of fact, Chris Gayle, the universe boss, says he still wants to play another World Cup, right? So the question is, how could this have happened? Right? This is Chris Gayle. Something not right. This is the universe boss. He wants to play, but West Indies cricket is saying your time is up. We'll give you a farewell match, but not. We're moving forward. And he's kicking and screaming to the very end to show that I still belong. But guess what happened? We see how this one plays out. Chris is still kicking. He wants to play. He still wants to entertain. But sadly, Father Time has caught up with him, and the West Indies cricket team is going in another direction. So there.
Does this farewell game sound like a charity match, man? I think there are in some circles of the Caribbean, there are a few persons who are saying that Gayle should not be selected just based on his name, right? And he's not a guaranteed selection for the West Indies team. And Gayle didn't prove that circle wrong in the recent World Cup because he played 5 matches, scored mostly 45 runs at a poultry average of 9, and his highest score was 15. So that circle is leading right now.
Yeah,
What Gayle needs to do to prove that circle is wrong?
Boy, outside of what he's doing in the IPL and other things is just keep it in. I mean, he had a 50-run game just the other day. They are losing effort. Him just have to just keep doing that. But either way, let me put it this way: if it's a charity game or not, either way, a lot of persons would want to see this and turn up. And if it's a charity, and even ask some other batsmen to come out or cricketer to come out of retirement just to show their appreciation as well as to play in that charity game, I imagine that it would sell off. Jamaican parlance, it would sell off, believe it or not.
Do you have a favorite Chris Gayle performance?
There are so many. But the 333 runs put down by Chris Gayle was one that stood out. In my mind, the manner in which he had done it. Some persons were saying that would he be able to set that record? They went off, for end of stump, and pretty much he came back, and that target was still there, that record, and he stuck with it and set that record. was brilliant, and it's owned by a Jamaican, so that was excellent at that time.
You have any, Adrian? You have a favorite Chris Gayle performance?
No
from the
favorite
Gangnam
Christian
Style
performances. Ray took that 3-3-3, but I'll just say that it's been a joy to watch Chris Gayle. We can talk about not just his batting, but his bowling. We can talk about his excitement, both playing in the Test cricket as well as, come to think about it. That inning that he walked out at the T20, Sanford versus England was a special one in which they just plundered away the runs, collected their $1 million and went off. Went off.
$1 million each.
$1 million US dollars each. US dollars each. So yeah, that was an interesting one. Announcing himself to the T20 world right away.
And one of my favorite performances from him was that 175 for RBC in the IPL. I mean, I woke up in the morning and it was just raining sixes. It was mind blowing to think of a player scoring 100, but then to score 175 in a T20, it sounded like him faced 50 overs. And that was how destructive he was as a T20 cricketer.
They call him Gayle Force wins, eh?
Exactly. Whenever Chris Gayle plays cricket and bat, he drives fear into any bowler. Whatever level of confidence they're at, once them bowl into Chris Gayle, you can see sometimes the shiver, the fear in their eyes as they're running, and you wonder, one man with one bat could I drive so much fear that like you get hit personally, but I guess them feel the pain and the leather. But Chris Gayle hasn't announced his retirement, fans. But Cricket West Indies is open to a farewell game. We don't know how it will work out. Chris Gayle has also announced that he would love to play in another ODI World Cup at age 42, 22 years of cricket. We wonder if he is pushing it. But knowing Chris Gayle, knowing how great he is, well, we're not going to use his last World Cup track record to do anything. He might go rest and come back stronger, right? We still need players like Chris Gayle around the team, whether as a mentor, as an assistant coach or something. His legacy has been established and it is great and might not be broken by anybody. So fans out there, we would love to hear from you by you leaving your comments in the comment section below. What's your thoughts on the West Indies Cricket Board open to a farewell game sometime in January for the Universe Boss and Minister Grange, on behalf of Sports DTM and Chris Gayle fans, we're asking you to approve whatever proposal is put before you so that the fans can go and say bye to Chris Gayle. Of course, from a social distance of 6 feet. Do it. Just do it. Fans out there, leave those comments in the comment section below. Ministry of Sports and Health and everybody, leave your comment in the comment section below. We're all looking forward to it. It will be good for Jamaica. It will be good for the sport. It will be good for Chris Gayle. It will be good for Chris Gayle fans. It's all good from there. Win-win for everybody. Fans out there, always remember to like, to share, and to subscribe. Ray and Adrian signing out, and always remember to tell a friend, tell all of them, friend them to come and join the Sports DTM family. This has been another episode of Sports Down the Middle. Be blessed.